Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hard Ticket, the show where we go to the movies expecting a double feature, only to find that both movies are playing at the exact same time. So now we have a hard ticket to choose between the two. I'm Jeff Bogus.
And I'm Tristan Moore.
And joining us today, we have a guest, Letterboxd user Scrambled.
Hi, special guest.
Oh no, I didn't set you up properly. Say hi, special guest.
Hi, special guest.
So Scrambled is joining us because they actually reached out to us recommending this particular matchup. And I'll go ahead and it was actually through Tristan Scrambled that you recommended this.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
this is
we initially met through a Reddit thread. I think it was probably one of those monthly profile swaps on r/Letterboxd.
If memory serves me right.
And we followed each other now for I don't know, a couple months, maybe a year or so.
I think so. My memory's not exactly right on it because, forgive me if this sounds awful, but I kind of forgot that we met on Reddit. I thought we met on the official r/Letterboxd Discord, but no, you're not on the Discord.
I'm not. I didn't have a Discord up until like a week ago when you suggested we make a hard ticket Discord, which we now have.
Yeah,
and we have guests on, so it's being populated slowly and pushed.
Yeah,
I'm an innovator.
they have made their impact on the podcast for sure. I know when Scrambled, you started commenting on our episodes on Spotify. Tristan and I were both kind of like, "We made it. We did it. We've got a fan. Somebody's listening who we actually have not met before in real life." And then Scrambled, you actually did you email Tristan?
I think it was like I suggested something on a Letterboxd review. Like you do those Letterboxd reviews to promote the episodes. I suggested a matchup, and then Tristan said, "Oh, why don't you come on an episode?" And then I said, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah, you suggested Ferrisky Businessers Day Off. You got the naming convention down.
Yeah,
pat.
Ferrisky Businessers Day Off, which is Risky Business versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes, so those are the movies. There's option A and option B. I'm going to go ahead and introduce option number A, though, to get us into the episode. It's Risky Business, 1983, directed by Paul Brickman, who is a sort of a one-hit wonder. This is like, he made another feature film, I think in the 90s, but then only like a short film here in this century. So not much going on there, but he made a mark with this movie, which is generally considered one of the best coming of age teen high school movies ever made. It stars Tom Cruise as his sort of acting debut.
Yeah, he gets like a weird breakout role inverse with Brickman's career, where like now Tom Cruise is just a speeding bullet after this movie.
Exactly.
It's like Risky Business, then Top Gun, and then it's only up from there. Unless you count Scientology and dating younger women.
And what is Top Gun? Is that 86? What does that come out
Top Gun is 86.
So 3 years, and he looks like a child in Risky Business. He looks like a little baby.
Yeah, when I watch Risky Business seeing young Tom Cruise, it's like when I watched Donnie Darko and there was like baby Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, he still got the baby fat and everything. So basically in this movie, Tom Cruise plays a guy named Joel Goodson, who is a high school student. I assume he's probably like in his senior year of high school. He's on the cusp of adulthood. He's really anxious about getting into Princeton University, especially. He's part of like this sort of like after school program called like, what is it, like Young Enterprisers or something, Young Entrepreneurs or something like that. And he is basically just he's anxious about his future and he feels paralyzed by that. And one of his friends comes along and says, sometimes you just have to ask what the and just do it. And so basically his parents go on vacation and it starts off slow where he breaks into the liquor cabinet. He's dancing in his underwear until finally at the end of the film, he is running a fully fledged brothel.
And it's very uncomfortable because the character is 17 years old.
Yes. Yeah. There's definitely some questionable age.
But then again, this movie came out in 1983.
It was a different time.
When teenagers could, smoke and drink. And you were still supposed to be 18, but at the same time, it was like, you grew up, I think, a little bit faster. But it's still, Risky Business is supposed to be a satire.
Yes.
But it does have a weird tone where it takes itself seriously in a way that I think, a lot of people might miss that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of potential matchups, one that we did not put it up against was Home Alone. which I think is also known for like, it's people are like, oh, here's a kid who's like defending his home against invaders, but that doesn't happen until the third act of that movie. And Risky Business has a similar thing here, where it's like, him as the guy who starts a brothel in his house. That also doesn't happen until the third act of the movie. It is much more of a slow burn, but it's interesting for that reason. We didn't put it up against Home Alone, though. We put it up against a different John Hughes movie.
Yes.
That we'll go ahead and have you introduce, Scrambled.
Well, the matchup I decided with Risky Business is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is like a classic 80s John Hughes movie comedy, obviously directed by John Hughes, a big name in the 80s, came out in 1986. This is one of those movies that, like, it's not on like Star Wars levels of popularity, but it's definitely planted its root into the film lexicon. Like, people will recognize quotes like life moves pretty fast. If you don't look around, you might miss it once in a while. Or
Bueller.
like Bueller. Or like at the very end, like there's the post-credit scene that goes, "You're still here? It's over. Go home."
Is that the original post-credit scene? Is
the
that
exact energy that Ryan Reynolds has been chasing since it happened.
Yes, it is. He's proto Deadpool.
Pretty much.
And the plot of this film is that he's taking a day off. It's a sick day.
Yeah, it's a lot less complicated than Risky Business. It's just this one kid is going to take a day off school and have fun. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, and he's also like the ace. He's the coolest kid ever. Everybody loves Ferris Bueller. But he will not be taking a day off by himself. He convinces his friend Cameron Fry, played by Alan Ruck, to join him. And they eventually pick up his girlfriend, Sloane Peterson, played by Mia Sara. And the three of them hit the city, which is the city of Chicago.
Yeah, both of these movies are set in Chicago, by the way.
Yeah, only 3 years after Joel Goodson made his mark on the city in his own father's fancy car, which they borrow Cameron's fancy car and Ferris Bueller. There's fancy cars, there's kids skipping school, there's
Chicago.
There's Chicago, there's the Bears, there's the pizza, there's and you have like the senioritis that's spread throughout.
They're both films about a moment in your life that you never get back. It's that senioritis moment between high school and becoming an adult. So obvious. This is an obvious matchup. Scrambled. You get it. You understand. You understand Hard Ticket. This is such a good match. And I'd never seen Risky Business before. Neither had Jeff. We're both familiar with Ferris Bueller. I think most people are familiar with Ferris Bueller. It's like one of those. It's like a film that everybody knows. It's like a touchstone experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like preserved by the Library of Congress. It's probably got like you said, Scrambled, like a handful of quotes and like the AFI's like greatest quotes of all time. And if it's not, then it should, because it's incredibly quotable. Same with like a bunch of other John Hughes movies. So there's a lot of those like surface level like similarities too, where there's just plot elements like the car, like the city. But there is an interesting dichotomy between the two of these movies too. And I say we can go ahead and get into the similarities, and I'm just going to set you guys up to run away with this. For me, what John Hughes is doing in Ferris Bueller, which is a very sexless movie, like Hughes, he dealt with a lot of the teenage stories, and there is a teenage fascination with sex that is noticeably absent from Ferris Bueller. And what Hughes does with the teenage tropes, to me, is he kind of cuts around them. It's like a steak. It's like a big juicy steak, and he's cutting around all the parts that he wants to dig into with his story. And it's not just the sex that he's cutting out, because Ferris Bueller and Joel Goodson also live in their parents' very nice houses. In very nice neighborhoods, and clearly are being set up to have very nice futures. But the conversation about economics also is something that John Hughes is kind of cutting around a little bit. So what he discards, Brickman kind of picks up, throws into a pot, makes his own stew with his own directing elements, adds some music by Tangerine Dream, and he makes up something something really, really tasty as well. So I'm going to use that sort of dichotomous thing to kind of set you guys up. And who's gonna say Ronald Reagan first? Who's gonna say his name first? You know?
Ronald
you already
Reagan.
did it. Margaret Thatcher. There, ooh, counterpoint. The UK counterpoint.
Yeah, except Margaret Thatcher 80s comedy would just be about closing mines and stealing milk from children.
There's nothing funny about that.
No.
Reaganomics. Yeah, both of these films have a scene where somebody like in a classroom is talking about like supply side economics or trickle down economics. The famous one obviously is Ben Stein and Ferris Bueller.
Anyone?
He's talking about the Laffer curve and all this stuff. And these are films that are really preoccupied with the administration during which they're set. And you look at something like, well, I guess we'll start with Risky Business, right? This is obvious because the whole thing with Joel Goodson is he's worried about like not fitting in. Jeff, I'm getting some callbacks maybe to our American Psycho discussion.
Because I feel like, and then, that was this similar time. It took place in the 80s, I'm pretty sure.
Right,
didn't it? Yeah. And, you get the feeling that Ferris Bueller's dad might kind of rub elbows with these guys. He's an ad guy. Which I think is essential because the whole thing about ads is that like they're trying to invent a problem to sell you the solution. So they're supposed to point out something that, wasn't even there to begin with. And Ferris Bueller's dad is so comically inept at like realizing his surroundings. Like Ferris Bueller, while he's skipping school, is constantly running into him throughout the city. But there's even a joke where like Ferris Bueller's dad like misses a stop sign and almost gets into like a collision at a stop sign just because he's just so unaware of what's happening. I thought that was fun. But going back to Risky Business.
Yeah, Risky Business. It's all about Joel Goodson trying to become an entrepreneur, basically. And so the whole setup with Risky Business is that his parents are out. He has a friend who's just like, you need to carpe diem, seize life by the balls. You need to live up your final days of freedom before you have to go to college and all this stuff. And like I said, it starts small. You get that famous, scene where he's in his underwear and he's singing, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. He slides in and all that stuff. And then eventually it kind of escalates to his friend calling a sex worker for him, who eventually hands him a note to call another sex worker that might be a little bit more Joel's palate, which he does. Yeah,
because if you don't know, the first sex worker that gets called to the house is very heavily coded to be a trans woman. But the surprising thing is that when she showed up at the door and she was a trans sex worker and Tom Cruise starts freaking out, I thought it was going to go into a very typical old comedy direction of, that kind of comedy that just hasn't aged at all. But then Tom Cruise doesn't misgender her, and then when she comes in, she clearly can tell that Tom Cruise isn't interested in her, and she just asks for the money for the fare there, and then redirects him to someone who's more his type. So I don't really know where it lands.
Well, I'd call it fair for its day, maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely good for its time.
It's Joel that doesn't misgender her though, because apparently behind the scenes, Tom Cruise just kept making these weird random cracks about I'm sure glad there aren't any gay people here, which was just you get into that you just almost non sequiturs basically.
Gosh.
Which is it's very strange.
Well, there's always been the rumors about Tom Cruise and being uncomfortable with his sexuality and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, but I will say that representation there's a little more going on beneath the surface of Risky Business, and an interaction like that shows that there's not as much judgment as you might expect from a typical 80s movie, because moving on from that scene, you have Lana who comes in and she's a call girl, and her and Joel strike up a relationship, and that kind of gets him sort of pulled into this underbelly. So there's your stuff going on under the surface. You can draw parallels to Blue Velvet, I feel between these two films, with this this sort of descent into something. Although I will say, Risky Business does not paint it as a descent so much as an ascent. It's he's climbing the stairs to success. Basically he goes on, a couple of nights of just tirade or, shenanigans and all that stuff until eventually he loses his father's car, his Porsche, his priceless Porsche, into Lake Michigan. It falls off a pier and gets waterlogged, and then he has to pay for it somehow. And he does that by becoming a pimp. After being chased the whole movie by Guido the pimp, who is Lana's manager in quotes. And so you have this role reversal that's going on in this film between Joel and Guido as he starts to become an entrepreneur, but in an unethical way. But at the same time, he's succeeding. It's a film about how in order to succeed in this world, you got to be cutthroat. You gotta do the unethical things, and it doesn't matter.
That's a good piece of satire I didn't pick up on, because when I was watching the movie, I just kind of thought, oh, this movie's just going through the typical Reaganite pinpoints. But yeah, now that I think about it, it's kind of almost a satire of the Reaganite mindset.
Yeah.
Well, and in order to ascend, Joel has to use people in the same way that Guido would use people. There's X amount of money goes to the girls, X amount goes to the house. I really like the fact that the elements of class and social structure aren't just present in Risky Business, but they're also just so essential. And they really manifest in the character of Lana, played by Rebecca De Mornay, who I think is just incredible in this movie. I think she's so good. She's really channeling that hostess that wants you to think she's flirting with you, so you give her a big tip kind of energy.
The dynamic between Tom Cruise's, I keep calling him Tom Cruise. His name is Joel Goodson.
Because he's a good son.
Yeah, the dynamic between Joel and Lana kind of reminds me of classic screwball comedies from the 1930s and 40s, kind of like a bringing up baby type thing.
Yeah, but there's still that that divide between it. There's that moment where he's trying to have a conversation with her because he's sexually attracted to her. He meets her when on a call, and the first thing they do is sleep together. And after that is when he starts to get to know her. So the power dynamic's already been laid down. But when he actually talks to her, tries to get to know her, he has that moment where he's asking her questions about her life. And you could tell he's like, oh, don't you want to go to school? Don't you want to make a future for yourself? And she's like, look,
I'm really trying to be friends with you. But I'd appreciate it if you'd stop laying these little judgments on me while you're leaning on your daddy's $40,000 car. I'll see you around.
Hello? Was there something I said?
and he doesn't even get it.
That's because he's so steeped in the culture of the time, of the economic pressure and the pressure to succeed. Like he doesn't even realize that he is putting that on her too.
Well, when you grow up in a household that's very sheltered and you have everything you could ever want, you can become two people. You can become the person who is just immensely pressured and bears all of that weight. You know, like, pardon my French, but Joel is so tight. If you stuck a lump of coal up his ass, in 2 weeks he'd have a diamond.
You wrote that down.
Bueller. I did write that down. Yeah, Ferris Bueller's the opposite. He's the other person you can become, where he's basically, you know, if you wanted to go by like the Reaganomics argument, he's like a freeloader. He has everything he wants and he's totally content, and he doesn't want to, you know, he just wants to enjoy himself.
Something I noticed about Ferris Bueller is, this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but it sort of reminded me of Curse of the Black Pearl. Because in Curse of the Black Pearl, the most iconic character is Captain Jack Sparrow, but he's not the main character because he doesn't have an arc, because he starts as this bumbling pirate, he ends it as a bumbling pirate with a bigger ship. While the real the real main character of Curse of the Black Pearl is Will Turner, because he actually has the arc of being a down on his luck blacksmith into becoming a pirate. Meanwhile, with Ferris Bueller is not the main character because he starts it as a smug and sarcastic teenager who's like streetwise to like the ways of the world, and he ends the movie the same way. And in Ferris Bueller, the real main character is Cameron, who actually has the arc of learning how to stand up for himself and come out of his shell.
Cameron is almost like the Joel of Ferris Bueller. Like he's very anxious about his future and about breaking the rules. And Ferris Bueller is the one who breaks him out of his shell. You have a little bit of a role reversal because Joel also has a friend in Risky Business who's like, the philosophy you should bring to life is what the and just do what you need to do.
Yeah, but that friend in Risky Business just kind of disappears after setting the plot in motion.
When it becomes more serious, it does that trope where like any comedic character just kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
You know, they got to get out of the way of the real narrative that's happening. But, you don't have that in Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller is like the opposite where, well, not really. It's similar in the fact that they're screwing around. They're having a good time. Everything is fun until all of a sudden it isn't. And that happens at this pivotal scene where Cameron's arc is pretty much solidified. It's the last scene. And it's really the longest scene in the movie. I watched a video by Cinema Sticks that talked about like the original cut of Ferris Bueller, which was like 2.5 hours, right? It was incredibly long. Everything was kind of out of order. And that's where editor Paul Hirsch comes in, known for, collaborating a lot with Brian De Palma and also for sharing the Academy Award for Best Editing with the other co-editors of Star Wars. So, he's got a prolific career. He edited Ferris Bueller, shaved it down to, just over 90 minutes. It's 103 minutes. Reordered the scenes so that they work a little bit better. But you get the feeling that this scene that I'm talking about is the scene with Cameron where they're trying to reverse the mileage on the Ferrari that they took out without his father's permission. Because his father has the mileage on the odometer, like, memorized. So they're trying to go in reverse to take the miles off because, they're teenagers. They don't understand. That's not how it works. And this results in like Cameron kind of losing his shit, kicking the Ferrari. It falls back onto the ground, skids out of the house, crashes, and the whole Ferrari is totaled. That is like the longest scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it stands out as the longest scene. And a lesser movie might feel like it has pacing issues for that reason, but not Ferris Bueller. That is a pivotal moment that the longevity kind of emphasizes.
Yeah, I agree. That is the moment for Cameron. It's treated. It's the peak of his arc, but it's also treated as sort of a what the fuck kind of moment. Like it's almost like a joke. And you contrast that with Joel's moment where he loses his dad's car in Lake Michigan. And that's what jumpstarts his final arc, which is becoming the businessman who eventually wows the Princeton interviewer, who eventually admits him into the university. And it's like the films are dealing with these two situations in very different ways. Like Cameron is accepting of the consequences of what has happened to the car, whereas Joel is all about trying to fix it. Jeff, I want to go back to something you were saying earlier about Ferris Bueller's character. And I maybe I want some clarification. Do you feel like Ferris Bueller is like a rebel in the Reagan era? Because my reading of him is that he is emblematic of the Reagan era. 100%.
No, I do think my identification of him as a freeloader is kind of tongue in cheek. I think he is more of like you can't touch him. He is invincible. That's the whole thing. The last thing that he does when he's like rushing to get home into bed is he realizes that his stereo that the snoring is playing on is still playing. So his parents are like, it's going to give him away. So he throws the ball that he caught at the baseball game earlier in the day, hits it dead on the stop button on the first try, and it lands in a stray catcher's mitt on the floor. That is emblematic of Ferris Bueller, who is surely emblematic of the Reagan era.
Yeah. He's not a freeloader because he does come from a position of wealth. Like he already has what he wants, and you compare that to Joel, who's striving to get what he thinks he needs in the future, And so Ferris Bueller is like, he is atomized. He is laissez-faire. He is all about savoring the fine things in life, going to museums, going to baseball shows, that sort of thing. And he's all about trying to get people to loosen up a little bit and sort of live for themselves. And I feel like I think they're just two sides of the same coin, though, because I think that's what ultimately Joel is trying to get. Except Joel has this Well, they start off Risky Business. He's having this dream where he's like in a house and he like sees a naked woman in the shower, and he's trying to get to her, but the shower keeps moving back. It's like an infinite hallway. So the whole thing with Joel is that he can never really get what he wants.
What he actually wants. Yeah,
What
you're
he
saying,
actually wants.
Ferris Bueller has everything that he wants. Joel has pretty much everything that Ferris Bueller has.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the girl, and that's kind of like he almost has a hero complex. He's constantly like trying to save Lana, and she plays into that too. She plays him. But there's even a moment towards the end where he's like, I just don't want you to get hurt. And I'm like, that's coming from the guy who's just been walked all over, and he still has the ignorance to think that he is in control of his situation. Like, whereas Ferris Bueller is completely 100% of the time in control of his situation.
Yeah.
And never doubts it.
Pardon my French, but Cameron is so tight that if you stuck a lump of coal up his ass, in 2 weeks you'd have a diamond.
Scrambled, what do you think about all of this? Or do you agree that these guys are kind of two sides of the same coin, or is there something that we're missing maybe?
Well, I think that if Ferris Bueller and Joel Goodson went to the same school, like Joel would be the kid who just kind of sulks around in the hallways and keeps to himself, while Ferris Bueller would just kind of like rock by going, hey,
Lighten up.
He's like the Fonz.
Yeah, sort
he's
of
the Fonz. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, I think it's interesting. The same school dichotomy. Ferris Bueller is the movie for kids who hate school. And there should be a movie for that. Kids should be allowed to hate school. Or they should at least have like something where they can dump all their hatred, just into. And then Ferris Bueller is like, Principal Rooney goes out of his way to try to catch Ferris Bueller. Like, that is such a ridiculous satirical character. Like, nobody is gonna like hunt you down.
It's like a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
Yes, exactly. It is very cartoonish.
He's a slapsticky character, and the whole movie has like that kind of air of slapstick. It never goes full slapstick, but it comes closest when it's Rooney.
Yeah, all about taking the piss out of authority. I think that's a big.
It's very anti-authoritarian, but it's also shown to be like school. Everybody, you get all these cuts to these kids, like close-ups of them just like falling asleep or blowing, chewing bubble gum. Like, they're not paying attention.
Yeah, the way John Hughes captures that feeling of being in a lesson and not caring at all and just kind of looking at the clock, waiting for the lesson to be over, that was very expertly captured in those scenes and was incredibly relatable.
It's great. It's really great. But then there is the dichotomous, if that's the Ferris Bueller school, then on the other side of the coin is the Risky Business school, which is like, if you miss one day or just a couple days in a row, your entire future is f***ed. And when Joel starts missing classes, it starts actually showing in his GPA, because he misses one midterm, I think, or he's late to school and he misses a midterm, or he didn't study for it. His grades start suffering, and because of this one bad week, despite the fact that he is shown to be a model student up until this point, like one bad week and the institution fails you, but frames it so that you fail.
It's like the living paycheck to paycheck thing for people. It's like you miss that one paycheck and you're on life support, and that's the anxiety that Risky Business is capturing. This is the risky business that we're all engaged in right now. You're playing a game called capitalism, baby. That's what this is. Yeah. This guy's a hustler, and Ferris Bueller he's a little bit of a hustler, but I feel like he just does it so effortlessly. He's selling, well, Joel says he deals in human fulfillment, right? Ferris Bueller does the exact same thing. He is dealing in human fulfillment. He's just taking a lighter approach to it, right? Like Ferris Bueller takes place all in the daytime. It's bright, shiny.
Yeah.
It's almost cartoonish, right? Like we were saying.
Yeah.
Whereas Risky Business, it's all at nighttime. It's all neo-noir.
Whenever there's a scene set at the daytime, it's almost entirely set at Joel's house.
Yeah.
And whenever they go into the city or go outside, it's always night. which I think does definitely show the two different tones of the movie.
And that's matched in tonally how they change up the music as well. Like Ferris Bueller has a legendary soundtrack. It's got song after song. You've got "Oh Yeah" by Yellow that plays. You've got "Twist and Shout" at the parade, and you've got a song by, I think it's The Cure when they're at the Museum of Art.
It's the Smiths.
The Smiths.
It's an instrumental version of a Smiths song that's playing at the art museum,
and it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite scenes in both of these movies. But then you have Tangerine Dream, who's composing the score for Risky Business, and it's like, if you know these guys, they're known for that noir kind of like Sleepless Night, Neon Signs, and it works so well. It creates such a mood over Risky Business where, like, even though you can pick apart all these similarities happening in these movies, they are tonally so different from each other.
Yeah, it almost feels like Blade Runner, like in a way, like that opening shot on the L where they're just like panning across Chicago at night with the Tangerine Dreams. I'm like, you're getting Blade Runner vibes. It's awesome. Great vibes.
Maybe the only thing I want to mention along the soundtrack thing is that in Risky Business, while the brothel is actually like in business, they're playing Talking Heads and Prince songs. And coincidentally, over the past couple of weeks, I've been listening to a lot of Prince and a lot of Talking Heads. So that was a weird coincidence.
Yeah, the song they're playing is Swamp by Talking Heads, which has the lyric Risky Business in it. Which I would assume that's where they get the title of the film.
Wow.
He says, risky business.
This guy, Guido, he's a manager?
That's right.
Or a pimp?
Well, now that's quick, Joel. You always been this quick, or is this something new?
I don't believe this. I've got a trig midterm tomorrow, and I'm being chased by Guido, the killer pimp.
We have to talk about Joel's mom's egg. Her crystal egg.
Oh,
right? Yeah. So this is like the whole. It's like the MacGuffin of Risky Business. It's
the inciting egg. Yeah.
Yes, it's the inception of the plot. After Joel's initial night with Lana, she asked for payment. I think she asked for like $350, and he goes to like his bank to get like a bond out or whatever from his grandparents to pay for it. And while he's gone, she takes his mom's priceless like
Fabergé
crystal
egg. Yeah,
it's not Fabergé. It's a crystal.
Fabergé. Yeah.
it's a crystal egg, and she takes it, and that's what leads Joel to like find Lana again, basically to get the egg back. So the whole film is like revolving around him trying to get his mom's priceless egg back, until eventually he does get it, and his parents come home. And by the way, the entire like main floor of the house has been stripped after their like brothel night, so he gets all that stuff back too, including the egg. And he gets the egg, and his mom comes back, and of course everything is perfect. Like Joel's pulled off the stunt of a lifetime. His parents suspect nothing,
except they're still apparently sniffing around the house like
oh yeah, because they don't trust Joel. They do not, they never trust Joel. And then finally his mom goes up to the egg, and she takes this thing off, and she's like, there's a crack in my egg.
Like a tiny little crack on the inside of the egg.
Yeah, which Joel doesn't even see. Like he even grabs the egg and he's like, really? And he's like looking up into it. Like he doesn't see it. Like no, it's probably made up. Like in my mind, I'm like, that's made up. Because like in my mind, there's no possible like scenario where his parents come home and they don't ream him out, because like that's what they do to him. They just they give him a hard time.
Joel Goodson definitely has stricter parents than Ferris Bueller.
He definitely does.
If Ferris Bueller had Joel's parents, Ferris Bueller would not be going out and going to Chicago in his friend's parents' sports car.
Oh no. Yeah, Ferris Bueller's parents are like, they fall for his every scheme.
Yeah,
and Joel can't get away even with the minutest maybe crack on this egg. His mom literally says, my egg is ruined. She's like,
his dad is like, just throw it out on the lawn or something like that. Like it becomes a lawn ornament after that.
Yeah. He's like, just go do some lawn work and you can make up for it. I love the egg like being this like thing at the center of, an egg symbolizes so much. Like it's your future, right? Like you sit on an egg, it's your nest egg. It can symbolize the next generation, which is what Joel is, right? Like this movie's all about what are our children going to be like if they grow up in this era of Reaganomics and cutthroat capitalism and consumerism? What are they going to turn into? So I feel like when Joel's mom says like my egg is ruined, it's almost like an implicit like admission that she doesn't trust her son, and she shouldn't, because look at him, look at how he's turned out.
He turned her house into a brothel.
He turned her house into a brothel.
And it's definitely implicit to be like, kind of on the parents for pressuring their son so much that he cracks like a egg.
Oh yeah. And this is the world that his parents helped create too. So it is 100%. I mean, you can never blame the new generation for their sins. I feel like it's always an inherited sins of the father kind of. We didn't start the fire, like it's that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, and you get this amazing shot where Elena shows up for the first time, and she and Joel are making out on the stairwell, and the camera just
pans over.
It trucks over, and all of a sudden, like it racks focus to all the baby photos of Joel in the house, and it's like, yeah, of course, that's your baby. Right,
that's
there.
Your baby. There's your egg.
He is deprived. He feels like he has everything he wants, and it's not enough because he doesn't have everything he wants, because he doesn't know what he wants, and all he wants to do is bone right now because he's 17 years old and he's lashing out. Like he doesn't know what to do with these emotions. I mean, that's another sort of tell of this era, is that like mental health was completely checked out. Nobody knew, and it goes back to our conversation about Vampire's Kiss. It's like that was the tell from the beginning, is the fact that Peter Lowe sees a therapist, so he's unstable. It's like, no, that's not true at all. Like you have to talk about these things. You have to get past them. You have to deal with them. You have to process them.
Yeah. Joel can't get what he wants. He can't get off. He can't get what he wants. He's worried about his future. He has all this anxiety. And this film centers so much on that worry about the future and about sex. Jeff, you were saying earlier, like there's so much sex in Risky Business, and you contrast that with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and there's not any sex really. I mean, he has a girlfriend, but when you look at Cameron, who is sort of the one who's going through the Joel arc, where's the sex?
Yeah, the only real overtly sexual thing is like that joke in Ferris Bueller, where Ferris Bueller's picking up his girlfriend, Sloane, as pretending to be her father, and then he like kisses her for like really long, and then the principal just goes, so that's how it is in their family.
And there's also like a moment too where Cameron like kind of snaps out of his comatose state towards the end, and Sloane is like, Cameron, did you see me when I changed out of my bathing suit? And he just like smiles and nods. And to me, it's like a lot of Sloane's character kind of circles around like how she is perceived by the two men who are basically the whole story. You could cut out Sloane's involvement in a lot of it. I mean, I think they make a good trio. I think there's good chemistry between all three of them, honestly. And it's good that you have both Sloane and Cameron who could talk about Ferris Bueller, like, and further mythologize him in their mind. They're like, like they even had that conversation. They're joking, like, what do you think he's going to be doing in 40 years? And Cameron's like, yeah, he's going to be like a fry cook somewhere or something like that. But beyond that,
fun employed.
Yeah. But Sloane as a character, like, because the story of Ferris Bueller is really pristine, it's very sexless. Contrast that with Lena in Risky Business, her sexuality is upfront. That is the first thing. That is her introduction. She is a sex worker that Joel hires to sleep with. And then after that is when we start to see beyond that. And she has a very proactive role in that plot. And I don't know, like, what do you guys think about the difference between like the main female characters between both of these movies?
I think it maybe goes back to the trans sex worker, how we're talking about there are underlying humanity. There's truth and humanity underlying all these people that goes beyond what you see on the surface. Like initially, yeah, Scrambled, you're talking about like you expect it to be this joke. And I thought that too. And I kind of cringed. I was like, oh, we have to do this. And then it turns into something a little bit more like there's a mutual understanding.
Yeah. And I think that like that subverting expectations also goes for the film as a whole, because going into it, I expected it to be like a extremely tasteless, poorly aged. Well, it still is poorly aged because it's about a 17-year-old, but I expected it to be a lot worse, like Revenge of the Nerds or Porky's or those kinds of like sex comedies from the 80s that are just absolutely abhorrent nowadays.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised that it was a lot more mature and a lot more nuanced than I was expecting, and it was really just a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way, and I feel like that's like part of the reason. I've read some Letterboxd reviews that are people confused that Risky Business is a satire because it does take itself very seriously. But satires don't have to be comedic. Like that's not like, Get Out is a satire. It's all about like the social norms and, embracing the absurdity in order to even make sense of what's happening in the real world. And I think Risky Business is a very effective satire. And I don't think Ferris Bueller is a satire. I think it's just kind of a comedy, and it wears that very proudly.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller is almost like a vignette series. It's just like, here's you and your friends doing something fun here at this stadium. Here's you guys on the Sears Tower and everything, and that's what the movie itself becomes. It like I said, it's this touchstone. Like everybody can relate to that time when they watched Ferris Bueller, and they can remember the line Bueller, Bueller, and all that stuff, and it becomes part of like a series of in your life where you're like, Ferris Bueller, that's the coolest guy ever. Like I want to be like Ferris Bueller, who has Ferris Bueller is like the ultimate hacker. Like he has an algorithm.
It literally is a hack. Yeah.
He literally does hack. Yeah. But he's not like a nerd either. Like he's not a jock. He's not a nerd. He's just like a cool guy that everybody wants to be. And he has an answer for everything. Like he's figured out a way to game the system completely.
He does. There's a lot of theories that like, I think there's a really big prominent theory that Ferris Bueller is like, like the alter ego of Cameron. He's his easygoing side. And that they're actually the same character. If you watch the movie from that perspective, it doesn't really change that much for me, if I'm being completely honest. I don't reject that theory. I think it's kind of fun. But I definitely think, having seen Ferris Bueller, for years, I've watched it several times in my life. Like, it does change as you get older. I'm gonna be 27 here in a few months. Tristan, you're a year older than me. Scrambled, you're a few years younger than us. It's like, I don't know. I definitely am more irritated by Ferris Bueller on this last rewatch. He's such a cocky, and implicitly, it's almost outright stated. Like he's like, yeah, I knew I was gonna wreck Cameron's dad's Ferrari today because that's what he needed. And it's like, well, because you're Ferris Bueller, I guess that is what he needed, because you do everything correctly and get away with literally everything.
Yeah, he's basically a Gary Sue.
Yeah. But like intentionally designed to be one, I guess. So it's like, it's so weird. And he's also like a dork at the same time. He has all those like one-liners he's just dancing in his room by himself because he doesn't care what anybody thinks. Like everybody wanted to be Ferris Bueller except for his sister, but she kind of did too.
She did. Yeah,
she came around to him by the end.
Yeah,
that's why people are angry with Ferris Bueller. Like even the dean of the school, like you kind of get the sense that he wants. I mean, if he doesn't want to be Ferris, he wants to control him, right? Like Ferris, and you're right, he is kind of he looks like a dork. I mean, Matthew Broderick just kind of looks like your, precocious wonder bred white kid, like he just looks like any other guy that you would ever see. He's like a Marty McFly looking guy.
Yeah, I used to get Matthew Broderick and
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. I used to get them confused sometimes, except Michael J. Fox never manslaughtered a guy. So.
Yeah.
That is
you have Matthew Broderick with the manslaughter charge, and you have
Jeffrey Jones,
who's like a sex offender.
You get Charlie Sheen, who shows up at the end too. Not a great alumni track.
And to make it all worse, John Hughes is a Republican. So, sorry.
Anyway,
well, okay, Jeff, you're talking about being like a little irritated with Ferris Bueller. Do you feel like your irritation is similar to like his sister's? Do you feel like you just pine for the days of being able to be Ferris Bueller, or do you feel like there's something?
Well, I think I do. Yeah. Well, the older I get, the more like the less cute that conversation of like, what am I going to do with my life gets. Like I just started grad school this year. And I still don't know if like I'm doing the right thing. And I watch Ferris Bueller and I'm like, the fact that I can relate so closely to this is actually kind of existentially terrifying to me. So the more you relate to it, the older you get, the more anxious I think it gets, and the less like I am to embrace that day off, because those anxieties pile up. I'm a lot more like a Joel, but really I'm more of a Cameron. You know, he's a masochist. He's like, he can be brought out of his shell. He can oscillate, but he needs that like force of ultimate goodness in his life to bring out the best in him.
Yeah, out of these two movies, I do think Cameron's definitely the most relatable character.
Yeah.
Because he always like overthinks and over worries about all of like these fun things that Ferris wants him to get doing, and he has a lot of trouble standing up for himself. I can relate to that. That's an immensely relatable feeling. So Cameron is not only the emotional heart of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but he's also the most relatable character in this matchup.
Yeah, he brings the reality, and he's the only character who can shake Ferris Bueller, who can like make him worry, make him feel like a human. And I think that's so essential. And the chemistry between the two actors too, between Alan Ruck and Matthew Broderick, it's palpable. It's great.
Yeah, it is palpable. You're right. He is like shaken by Cameron if he's not doing but because Cameron is the audience surrogate, and Ferris Bueller, this is his day off. It's an invitation. The film is an invitation to check your worries and anxieties at the door and just indulge for a little bit. And so when Cameron's worried, that's when Ferris is like, here, let me try to get you out of the shell a little bit. And it can get a little irritating. I was getting another flashback to like Scott Pilgrim. Like I was feeling like Ferris Bueller is kind of like a proto Scott Pilgrim, like with the breaking the fourth wall, which we got to talk about that briefly. Like breaking the fourth wall. That's the ultimate act of rebellion, in a cinema. It's breaking that formal barrier, which is what, Ferris. So I was getting, some parallels there. I understand how that would be irritating. The film is almost daring you not to get irritated, though. Like,
well, that's it. The fun thing about it is like when Ferris first calls Cameron, there's like this tropical like music playing in Ferris's room, and then you cut back to Cameron, and there's like this.
Yeah, he's playing prog rock.
Yeah, it's just like. When Cameron was in Egypt land.
Yeah,
like
I don't know which band it is. It kind of sounds like The Doors.
Yeah, I was getting some like Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
it's like early Pink Floyd kind of.
It sounds
vibes.
like The Doors by the way of 70s era Genesis.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, honestly. But that's it. You get the sense that that's how their relationship works too, because the cut back and forth is funny, it's enjoyable, and Cameron like. He knows he's not dying. He just likes to wallow a little bit in his like pity, and Ferris will call him on it, and they'll have that back and forth. And it's beautiful. It's great.
Yeah, he says you're not dying. You just can't think of anything good to do.
And that's kind of true.
That's true, yeah.
That definitely resonates nowadays.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe that's just something we all need to keep in mind. We're not dying. We just can't think of anything good to do, fun to do. I don't know.
Oh, well, he's very popular, Ed. The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Well, I'm dying to get to the question portion
Yay!
of our show.
Questions, let's do it.
What if there was like a jingle for the question section?
A jingle?
Yeah, like they're like little jingles to transition into different parts.
Well, Scrambled, how about you give us your best jingle for the question section?
Question section. It is time for the question section.
All right, I'm going to take that audio clip. I'm going to edit with a little echo, a little like xylophone behind it, and it's going to be good.
So both of these movies have famous singing scenes. Risky Business, most iconic part of Risky Business, even the scene, if no one's ever heard of this movie, is the one where he slides across the screen in his underpants and starts singing old-time rock and roll. And in Ferris Bueller, it's the scene where he just hijacks this parade and lip syncs to Twist and Shout. And because it's Ferris Bueller and everyone loves him for no reason, everyone just thinks, oh my gosh, this random teenage boy is singing a Beatles song. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then you just go around him. So my question is, which song are you singing at home in your underpants, and which song are you singing in the middle of a parade?
I feel like, and this, like I've never done karaoke, but if I did karaoke, my go-to song would be Rainbow Connection.
Oh,
yeah.
The Muppet Movie.
That's what Jeff's like, you're gonna do that.
No, it's a great song, great movie. Love
Yeah,
the Muppet movie, but like,
not appropriate for a parade.
Yeah.
I didn't say not appropriate, but you're not going to get people on their feet doing that.
No. It's going to be like the end of the parade. We all get to the end and everybody's just quiet and they all have little candles. It's like a candlelight vigil. And then I start singing.
Get out their phones and like go.
Yeah. The phones, they're doing it up in the air. Yeah. And I'm singing Rainbow Connection and people get teary-eyed.
I will say, I've done karaoke. I have done karaoke, and I did it once with my friend Rob Simmons, who's going to be on the podcast next week. And he did a karaoke version of Silent Night. But like the track they pulled up went through like all 4 or 5 verses of Silent Night, so it just kept going, and everybody in the restaurant by the end of it was just like breaking out laughing every time another verse started. Everybody had their phones out. So there's a place for it. My parade float song is going to be "Grooves in the Heart," though, by D. Light.
Yeah,
I fuck with that song. What about you, Scrambled?
Well, my like Home Alone song. I've been listening to a lot of Prince recently, so I'd probably choose "Kiss" by Prince.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's
nice.
a really good like dance along, sing along thing. And since no one's watching, you can do a truly awful falsetto that breaks glass. And I can't do falsettos, but it doesn't matter because I'm at home, I'm singing Prince. No one can listen to my awful, awful falsettos. I do think I'm a good singer, but I cannot falsetto.
Yeah, I do a truly awful falsetto in our theme song, so I get it. Fair. What about the other versions?
The parade song, for a parade, you've got to like appeal to the most amount of people possible. So I'd probably choose something like Sweet Caroline because everyone knows the words and everyone can sing along.
Do you know the West Virginia, Pennsylvania version of that song?
No.
On the part where it goes, "Sweet Caroline, da da da," everybody yells, "Eat shit, Pitt!" It's great. It happens much more often than you would think. I've been to a lot of weddings in surrounding areas, and if you don't know what's going on, you think people have just lost their minds, but it's a big thing around here.
Yeah. Sweet Caroline is a massive sing-along song in Britain, but really the only thing that people add is that when it goes, "Good times never felt so good," everyone just goes, "So good, so good."
That's when we say, "Eat shit, eat shit." No, we actually do that. I'm not making that up.
Whoa.
That actually happens. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. My stay-at-home song, it's going to be "Up With People" by Lamb Chop, and nobody's going to know what that is, and that's because I'm singing it at home by myself. What about you, Tristan?
I know that song.
You do?
Yeah. It's the one that has like, isn't it like there's no lyrics for the first like minute or two?
Yeah, it's great.
Great
it
song
builds
to
it
sing.
up. It builds it up. You just kind of get your moves going, you know.
I would either be singing Starman, David Bowie, because I love doing my David Bowie impression in the privacy of my own home when no one can hear me. And I feel like Starman, like just the up on that is so fun. Or I'd be doing like a Talking Heads song. I'd be doing like "This Must Be the Place" or something like that. So.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
My first question, let's see. All right. Who would you rather be friends with? Joel Goodson or Ferris Bueller? And who's going to get you into more trouble?
Well, the thing is that I'd prefer to be friends with Ferris because I can't arrange things and Ferris would just go, "Hey, let's do this. Why don't we just do this?" So I'd much rather be friends with Ferris, but he'd get me in more trouble. That's the thing. Meanwhile, I don't think I'd like being friends with Joel because he's awkward at the beginning of the film and then really business-minded at the end of the film, and I won't get on with that. But he would get me in considerably less trouble. So it's whether if I go for the safe option or for the fun option.
I was actually thinking that Joel would get me into more trouble because anything that Ferris Bueller does, he gets away with, and I would feel like I would probably be invincible by proxy. But that definitely is not what happened with Cameron. So I don't know. Ferris, I'm right there on the edge between like an introvert and an extrovert. So I do like being around people. I crave human connectivity.
Yeah.
But then I need a heavy recharge period.
Yeah, that's similar to me.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't get that as much with Ferris Bueller. Even though he is kind of like the obvious answer because he's just going to curate like the greatest day of your life with you. But hey, Joel might curate the greatest night of your life. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say this answer is just almost totally dependent on whether you want your friend to run a brothel that you get to take advantage of, or...
Nah, that doesn't really seem like my sort of thing. I'm good, Joel. As like I'd go, Joel, listen, mate, as long as you're not exploiting these women and just like doing things on their own terms, that's fine. But I don't want to get involved with this stuff.
I think it's by definition exploitative because he's a capitalist. He owns the means of reproduction. So
shut the up. In the year 2025, Ferris Bueller would be around 59. Joel Goodson would be around 62. What would they be doing with their lives right now? What do you think?
When you proposed this question, I had a think, and I really think that like nowadays, Ferris Bueller would be like a travel influencer, with like the whole joke being that he's like this middle-aged man who goes around the world and like takes like does like these crazy things and occasionally like gives out a philosophical quote.
I like that.
Meanwhile, I think Joel Goodson, since he's more business minded, I think that he's like a trust fund person, like one of those like rich people that everyone hates nowadays, especially due to like different like the current economic state of things.
Yeah, that's apt, I would say. I like what you're saying with Ferris. I think he would be like a tour guide.
Yeah, that was my second option, like a Chicago tour guide who brings you to like the most obscure places that you've never heard of, but like really good.
Yeah, and it's always like the tour is always different. There's always something wild that he facilitates. He's in the business of, what is it? Of
human fulfillment.
Human fulfillment. Yeah. What do you think, Tristan?
Well, I joked earlier that Ferris Bueller would be fun employed. He wouldn't have a job, but he would still be making it. He would still be doing everything, that he's doing. He'd either be that or he would be the president of the United States of America, and he could save us all.
Yeah, I think at one point there was planned like a legacy sequel called Ferris Bueller's Day Off Work. But geez. I don't think that ever went ahead.
I don't know if I would want to watch that, like.
Oh yeah.
It would break the illusion.
I think the guy who plays Cameron is like, they should do a sequel, but they should do it when they're both like in their 70s or 80s.
Yeah, and they break out the retirement home.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I would watch that. I would watch that one.
Yeah. You got to let them live their whole lives and end up back in this scenario. I think for Joel, what he would be doing is he would be a consultant. No details after that.
He's just consulting.
He's a consultant. He writes everything off as a business expense. You have no idea what he actually does. But he makes a crap ton of money doing it.
Yeah. He doesn't actually do anything. That's the whole thing. He made it. That's how you know you've made it. When you can do a job that you're not even actually doing. It's not important. Doesn't matter.
That's it.
All right, Scramble, what's your next question?
My next question is, would you rather drive Joel's dad's Porsche or Cameron's dad's Ferrari?
Ooh. I gotta go with the Ferrari. I like it. I like the nice red.
Yeah.
I'm simple. I'm like, look at that thing. It's red and it's
I'm pretty
open
simple
top.
as well. I'm not a car person, so I just judge cars on how pretty they are aesthetically.
Yes.
And I prefer how Cameron's dad's Ferrari looks. It's red. It's got like a nice shape on like the hood. It's a lot prettier than the grey Porsche that Joel's dad drives.
Yeah.
The Porsche is ugly, and that's why I would drive it. I remember I was watching Risky Business, and I was looking at a car, and I was like, God, that is gross. That is not aged well at all. Put me behind the wheel of that thing, because it's got like the lights that flip up and everything. I don't know, something about it is just like, it feels like a relic. I mean, yeah, the Ferrari's cool. It's shiny. It is red. It feels like the obvious, like it almost like solidify. It's one of the coolest cars in film, right? But I want something gross.
You want like something inconspicuous where you can wink at people with the headlights.
Yeah, that's what I want.
All right, my next question. Okay, so these are portraits of two white teens growing up in Reagan's America. What changes if they're remade today in the Trump era?
Maybe just first off, both of them are significantly less social. Maybe they have like a couple online friends who live over in like Europe or something. But like Joel definitely doesn't have that large of a friend group, and they don't get together to play poker and smoke cigars. That doesn't happen in the modern
They
day.
play like Call of Duty together.
Yeah, they play like Balatro.
Yeah, man, what a question, man. Because it's like the whole stereotype about like young white boys in America right now is such an ugly stereotype because America is so politically divided. Everybody's really mean. Everybody's really stuck in their ways. And especially with young people, it's like they have to overact because they aren't intelligent yet. Like they're still learning the world, but they're extra defensive. So like you immediately lose a lot of the sympathy for these characters if that's going to be integral to like their personalities. And I don't want to watch that.
Also, I feel like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the plot doesn't work if the internet exists and the parents just come across like the Save Ferris campaign on like Facebook or something.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I think like, you know, I'll bring up another Chicago movie, The Blues Brothers. That's like, that's your holy trinity right there. Right. I think like what they say in that movie all the time is like, we're on a mission from God, to the point where that statement like just kind of doesn't mean anything anymore. And if you have like a Joel who would obviously be chasing like the art of the deal, that would be like his Bible. He would be saying something like apologize for nothing, like over and over again, to the point where that just loses all meaning, which could actually be interesting. Like if you show this character, I mean, you kind of get it a little bit with Vampire's Kiss, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I do like that movie. I do really enjoy that movie.
You get like Joel running like a pump and dump crypto scam, and Ferris Bueller with like broccoli hair is kind of how, and he's saying stuff like bussin'. He's like, this is bussin'.
And he's hitting his jewel, constantly. Like something, if you don't slow down and smell the
riz it up.
It's Jewel. Oh my God, terrible. Oh
yeah, it would be awful.
They go to a casino and they bet all their money on 6-7.
Cameron, just put it down on 6-7 every single time. Oh jeez, yeah, but it's like a digital casino. They're just like sitting in the slot machines. Oh jeez,
it would be so bad, but it would be so.
It'd be funny.
It's funny as a concept.
It would be a time capsule. That's what it would be. A period piece.
Instead of Ferris Bueller like drawing that like naked woman on his computer, he's animating Skibbity toilet videos.
I asked for a car, they got me a computer. What do you expect?
He's making Skibbity toilet videos.
All right, I'm going to push us ahead here with my my second question, which is write a Principal Rooney subplot for Risky Business.
Well, it's got to be Principal Rooney somehow accidentally finding his way to the brothel. I feel like that's a given, but I don't know where to take it from there.
Yeah. I felt like, you know, the character who comes from Princeton to interview Joel in the middle of his big night could almost be like kind of the sub in for that. But then I was thinking like, what does Principal Rooney like represent in Ferris Bueller? He represents like exaggerated authoritarianism. So like the force that you inflate in your mind that would be getting in the way of you taking your day off. So he's got to be like chaste in Risky Business. He's got to be like anti-sex. He's almost got to be like this person who wants to police women's bodies or something.
What if he's like an evangelical kind of like televangelist type character?
Yeah, he's like Joel Goodson's very evangelical uncle or something.
Yeah,
who like comes around and he's like, I'm just checking on you. I know your parents are gone.
or he's a door-to-door kind of like a Mormon.
Ooh, a
So it's
Jehovah's
not-
Witness or something. yeah.
Right. So instead, like he actually has a subplot where it's like, you can do whatever you want with these women, but you have to marry all of them first. And so like he starts like, everybody starts marrying each other at the brothel.
Oh my god, this is gonna alienate all our Mormon listeners.
No, but then he's like, "You come in here. I'll be the soaker or whatever you call it." The third person.
Oh my god.
My final question is: would you rather own the glass egg from Risky Business or the A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grand Jatte painting featured in Ferris Bueller, which is a real painting by French artist Georges Seurat? It had a musical based on it. Basically the only painting to have a musical based on it. It's a very famous painting. It's of a bunch of like French aristocrats in the 1800s by like a river about to go swimming. But yeah, would you rather own the glass egg from Risky Business or the Sunday Afternoon painting featured in Ferris Bueller?
It depends on if there's a crack in the egg. Because if there is, I don't want that. Just throw it on the wall.
This egg is ruined.
No, for me, it would definitely be the painting. I actually really love that painting, and I think that scene with Cameron looking at it in Ferris Bueller is definitely my favorite scene.
Yeah, I think there was a detail I read somewhere. Don't source me on this, but I think there was a detail saying that the reason why it keeps zooming into the painting is to say something about Cameron's character, that he's afraid that the more you look, the less you see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think so.
And it's also like him trying to discern his face in the crowd too. I feel like,
Yeah.
who is he? I think he relates to the little girl in the painting or whatever. But yeah,
It was like sad.
I would also definitely want to own that painting because I studied it. I studied it, in quotes. I was in like 6th grade. We had an art class, and it was like one of the first like pieces, like works of art that I ever like actually like looked at and like kind of like analyzed, whatever. I was like 12, but
It's got a monkey in it.
it's got a monkey in it.
Yeah, there's a monkey in that painting.
Well, I guess you didn't study it very closely.
It's like one of the aristocratic lady's pet monkey that she's just walking while everyone else is going to go swimming in the Seine. I think that painting is of. I think it's of the Seine.
Imagine if they cut between the monkey's face and Cameron's face, just like back and forth, and it's like Cameron feels like Ferris Bueller's monkey, like.
Ferris Bueller walks up and it cuts between him and the woman who owns the monkey.
yeah, perfect. I love it. All right, my last question, and this is just piggybacking off of Jeff's last question. Write the Guido the Pimp subplot in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
The thing is that Guido the Pimp isn't as memorable of a character as the principal in Ferris Bueller. Guido is like... If the principal is Joel Goodson's uncle, then Guido is Ferris Bueller's uncle, and he keeps trying to want to get Cameron's dad's Ferrari, but keeps getting like blocked at every single opportunity, or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like Guido could be a character that you just like extend the search party for Ferris Bueller. So he's just another person in Chicago who he could accidentally bump into, and you could make him the person that like. Maybe they steal like the lunch reservation from, so he has reason to be like hunting him down.
So maybe he's like sort of like a really rich businessman kind of guy.
Well, when we first see Guido in Risky Business, he's like at a fancy hotel. He's got that facade of like, the high living. He's got clientele that serves, aristocrats or whatever. So I don't know. I don't feel like there's any interesting addition you can do besides make him just like Rooney 2.0, honestly. Oh, unless he actually does like steal stuff from the Bueller house, and that's another thing where you have to replace that stuff to maintain the illusion. I don't know. Did you have something in mind when you posed this question?
No, I was just piggybacking off of your question because I was having trouble thinking of a third. So
fair. My last question here. So Ferris Bueller gives Cameron and Sloane the ultimate Chicago experience. So if Ferris was your best friend, living in the city you live in, where would he take you and what would you do? Or alternatively, what city would he take you to?
So I live in Pittsburgh, so Ferris Bueller would totally be taking people to like the Incline to like see downtown Pittsburgh. He'd be taking them to like PGH Arena to watch a Pens game, maybe go to Heinz Field, or former Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium, to see the Steelers. he would go take us to the Cathedral of Learning, to go to the top of the cathedral and, you know, be like, hey, we're up here. That's what he would do. He would just go to all the famous landmarks. And as a Pittsburghian, as a denizen of Pittsburgh, I would definitely enjoy something like that, because I feel like there's so many sites in the city I still haven't seen.
I live in a college town. I live in Morgantown, West Virginia. So it feels like, you know, the ultimate mountaineer experience. There would be like a noon game, and Ferris and I would go to a tailgate, some random people's tailgate that turned out to be really cool. And we like shotgun beers with them or whatever. And they have like a great little like bratwurst grill set up or something. And then somehow we get into the football game for free. And we end up on the field. Somebody rushes like the winning touchdown for the Mountaineers somehow. And then you leave, you go to like a sports bar or something. And there's like some alumni there who are like big donors of the university, and they're like wasted. And you start up a conversation with them, and they're like, I'm going to make a scholarship in your name or something like that. I don't know. I mean, like, I got to do something outside of the normal Morgantown nightlife, because Morgantown is, you know, it's designed for nightlife. It's colleges. There's bars and clubs everywhere. That's boring. Anytime somebody visits me in Morgantown, that's all they want to do. And I'm like, I live here, man. Yeah. I walk by these places every day. So it's got to be outside of the box from that.
Okay, I live in a small town, so I'm not going to dox myself. Instead of saying the town I live in, I'm going to go with the city I was born in, which is the great city of Sheffield, Yorkshire. So if Ferris Bueller was doing a day off in Sheffield, we'd probably like the version of like Wrigley Field. It would either be a Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday game at Bramall Lane, or it would be a snooker match at the Crucible. Just for reference, snooker is kind of like pool. I think it might be pool as well, or it might be a different game. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they do have like snooker tournaments at the Crucible, which is like this in the round theatre, and it's really popular. And then like maybe they go to the Winter Gardens, which is like this indoor like gardens area like in the center of the city. And then like if we're going like a little bit outside the city, maybe he'd briefly take them to the Peak District, which is like this beautiful like national park, just like a couple minutes drive outside Sheffield, and it's where they filmed The Princess Bride actually. Yeah. Wow. What other things? Western Park Museum. Instead of the museum they go to in the movie, they'd go to Western Park Museum, which was like this museum I went to a lot of the time as a kid. They've got like this giant woolly rhino and a whale skeleton. And when I was a kid, they don't have it anymore, but they used to have like this thing where you would like make, in the natural history section, where you'd make like this little creature, and then you'd send it out and see how long it lasts against other people's little creature. It was amazing. So yeah, I think that would be Ferris Bueller's Day Off in Sheffield.
That's awesome.
That would be amazing. What creature would he make?
Well, it was kind of like Spore. It wasn't like a specific like animal thing. Yeah. It was like a homunculus.
Ferris Bueller's homunculus.
That's amazing.
All right, we've reached the end of Hard Ticket. Scrambled, it's been an honor having you on the show.
Being on the show, yeah. I've really enjoyed this.
We really love that you love us, so it's great. We've really appreciated your insight, and you have given us so many suggestions for future episodes as well. So we'll surely have you on for a future episode.
Yes.
But since we've reached the end of the episode, it's now time to answer, where is your hard ticket going? And I actually have no idea between the two of you. So I think we're going to start with Scrambled. Where is your hard ticket going to?
Well, like, these two films are fairly similar in quality, I think. Risky Business feels more like a movie, while Ferris Bueller is more like a romp. But if like the indie cinema I go to was screening either Risky Business or Ferris Bueller, I'd be more excited for Ferris Bueller because it's just got like that general appeal, and I really like the emotional stuff with Cameron. That really like resonates with me. So my hard ticket would go for Ferris Bueller.
All right. Jeff?
Yeah, well said. I mean, Ferris Bueller is a titan. I mean, it's huge. It's one of the most, I think, iconic movies ever by design. It's designed to be iconic. It has those lines that stick out in your head. It's the ultimate Chicago experience on film. It's preserved by the Library of Congress as, like historically, culturally significant. I really, really, really wanted to pick Risky Business for this because I hadn't seen it before, and I really liked it when I watched it. So I'm gonna pick it. Actually, I'm gonna make it my hard ticket because I don't necessarily think it's better than Ferris Bueller. But I have seen Ferris Bueller so many times, it's almost ingrained in my memory. I have it on repeat. It's tattooed up there. And having only seen Risky Business once, I feel like there's a lot of I think it tackles themes in a way Ferris Bueller isn't as concerned with doing. And I really like the way that it does it. I like the atmosphere of it. I think it has some tonal issues. I think it has some pacing issues. But I think the performances are great. I really, really like Rebecca De Mornay in this movie. Tom Cruise he's fine. He's good as always. He's a good actor. But I'm going to pick it just because I think I need a break from Ferris Bueller. And I'm scared if I watch it again, I'm going to fall even deeper into existential despair.
Well, yeah, okay, great. We have one for Ferris, one for Risky Business.
You're the tiebreaker, Tristan.
I'm the tiebreaker.
It's all down to you.
My hard ticket goes to Risky Business.
Whoa!
Yeah. Was that a surprise to you guys? Did you think I was going to pick Ferris Bueller?
Actually did, yeah.
Oh.
I usually try to predict Scrambled. I always try to predict what Tristan's going to pick beforehand. And I think 9 times out of 10, I've been correct. And I actually think I was not correct this time around.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, I am going with Risky Business for a lot of the same reasons you're talking about, Jeff. I think I just resonated a little bit more with the darker tone, I think is what I liked more about it. Because it is kind of a dark satire. It's not so much a celebration as it is it's almost like a cautionary tale where it's you a victim of your own success kind of story, which I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up watching Ferris Bueller, really. I watched it once when I was in high school, so it's not really as ingrained to me as it probably is to you both. Although obviously all the Bueller, all the famous lines and stuff I've definitely absorbed. But no, if I had to pick one to rewatch, especially right now, I would definitely rewatch Risky Business. I liked it a surprisingly high amount, way more than I thought I was gonna enjoy it. I kind of thought it was just gonna be a cringy 80s teen sex coming of age comedy thing. It ended up being a little bit darker and more complex than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So, great matchup.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get another Paul Brickman movie. Really,
Yes.
I mean, we got the one, but apparently, he doesn't like working with the egos of actors. And if your first and only movie had you working with Tom Cruise,
oh yeah,
I can only imagine the effects of that. But yeah, I was really, I do think that Ferris Bueller it's more, well-oiled. It's more functional. I probably would call it a better movie, but I think Tristan, with you right now in my life, I just discovered Risky Business, and I'd like to see it again. So Scrambled, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for suggesting this matchup and, listening to the podcast, commenting and engaging. We've enjoyed engaging right back with you, and want to remind our listeners that, we do listen to requests, and we are always happy to cover what you guys want to hear us talk about. So this is an example of how to do it right. This is the bar, people. Do it like Scrambled.
This is the bar.
But that's going to do it for us here on Hard Ticket. As always, you can follow the podcast on Instagram and Blue Sky at Hard Ticket Pod. All lowercase, all one word. Scrambled, where can people follow you?
People can find my... I don't really do social media all that often, but if people want my Letterboxd, the handle is... It's a weird one. It's neutral_piss. I know it's a really weird handle. I was really in a really goofy mood when I was setting up my Letterboxd account.
Wonderful. Yeah, you can't miss that one. So, yeah, follow Scrambled. We really enjoy engaging on Letterboxd. We engage with a lot of our followers on Letterboxd. Tristan, where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Letterboxd at TristanM_, or you can follow me on Instagram at Tristan_less. You can also email the podcast at hardticketpodcast@gmail.com. We've just gotten in touch with some new people recently. We have a Discord, so for people who are going to be guests and stuff, you can get on the Discord and chat with us and everything. It's really awesome. I love seeing the podcast kind of get a little bit bigger and sort of moving beyond the immediate reach of people that me and Jeff know personally. So it's Scrambled. You're in at the start.
I'm the first non-American on the podcast.
That's true.
For sure, the first non-American.
Yeah. As always, thank you, Jared Tadlock, for designing our brand elements, keeping our podcast looking fresh. Thank you, Aaron Griffin, for mixing and mastering our theme song, sung by yours truly in a truly awful falsetto. Next week, we're going to be talking about Braveheart in conversation with The Patriot. A bit of a Mel Gibson overload. But until then, we will see you guys at the movies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's a hard ticket at the movies. Which one will you watch? Let's decide. It's a hard ticket at the movies.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.